everyone, it's Lisa here. I'm excited to walk you through my Effortless Gouache Brush Pack for Procreate. In this video, I'll do a quick demo of the brushes included, then we'll move on to painting a lovely botanical art print that comes as a free bonus with this brush pack. You'll receive 4 beautiful color palettes designed to help you paint the art print with ease, and of course the palettes will be handy to have on hand for any future projects in Procreate. The collection includes 5 smooth brushes with various brush shapes and opacities, which are perfect for contemporary gouache paintings. It also includes 5 dry, smudgy and messy brushes with yummy brush strokes, perfect for textured work as well. I've also made sure to include brushes for details and line work for both smooth and textured finishes. And last but not least, there are 6 fun stamps made from real source material, ideal for adding color variation, or you can use it as a background. The stamps are high res, so you can use them really large in your work. Every artist is different, which is why I've developed 2 canvases with both a smooth finish and a textured finish made to enhance your gouache paintings. Don't be shy to edit the effects layer. You can tweak the opacity of the layers to customize the canvas for each of your projects. Be sure to make a copy of the canvas first before starting a new painting. Now that you have an idea of what's included in the collection, let's dive into painting our botanical bird art print. The bonus print comes as a pre-made Procreate document with carefully constructed layers. The print is available in both a standard size and a large size. You'll find them in the bonus folder along with the reference images. Once you've transferred the Procreate document to your iPad, go ahead and open up the file. You'll see an instruction layer which you can delete once you've read. I've included completed paintings in each color palette so that you can use them as reference while you paint. These you'll also find in the bonus folder, so you can go ahead and transfer those over to your photos on your iPad. To use an image as a reference, tap on the Actions icon, then choose Canvas, and then turn on the reference. From there, you can choose Image and import your preferred art print for color reference. Okay, so we don't need the instructions layer anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. Each color has its own layer, and you'll be painting on a new layer underneath each reference layer. We'll be working our way from the bottom up, and you can paint each color on a new layer, or you can paint the entire piece on a single layer, which is what I'm going to do. You'll notice that each reference layer includes the swatch that should be used for that layer. So you need to go ahead and choose the color palette that you want to use and make sure that you select that color palette each time. I've kept the swatches from the previous layer in view so that you can see which color you've already used. Once you've imported the color palettes, go ahead and select one. I'll be using Caribbean, and I'm going to set that as my default palette. You can also use your finger to pick the color swatch from each layer. Make sure you select the color from your chosen palette each time. I'll be filling in the background with a solid color for now. I do recommend painting your background using the gouache brushes, so we'll come back to it later and apply color using the brushes. You can go ahead and create a new layer for the background. Keep the background separate to your painting, and as mentioned, I'll be using one layer for all my color layers except for my background, which will be a separate layer. To fill your background color, just select the color indicated and drag and drop the color onto the canvas. Once you've completed the layer, you can go ahead and delete the reference layer. Let's move on to the next one. Turn the next reference layer on and create a new layer, making sure it's underneath the reference layer. Then select the color that's indicated for that layer, making sure I'm not painting on the reference layer, and using my reference image to guide me, we'll be painting the background of the leaves. I'll generally be using the smooth brushes for this painting. You can of course decide to use the textured brushes for a more painterly textured look. And I'll be using the round semi-wet quite a bit because I like the visible strokes you see in the brushwork. Just to mention, you'll notice that the gouache canvas effect is not applied to this document. And the reason why I left it off is that I wanted to preserve the layers so that you don't run out of layers before completing your painting. So we'll be finishing our art print in this document, and then we're going to be exporting it as a JPEG and import that JPEG into our gouache pre-made canvas to complete the look. But don't worry about all of that now. I'm going to show you exactly how to do all that later. So making sure I'm on the correct layer, we'll be working underneath our reference layer. I'm going to turn the opacity down of that layer so I can see my painting better, and I've chosen the round semi-wet. The brush has a lovely size variation, which is pressure sensitive, and it's great for filling in large areas and smaller areas without having to change the brush size too much. You can decide whether you'd like to complete the entire shape without lifting your pencil for a smoother look, or you can lift your pencil to create more stroke marks, which is what I'm doing. If you want to blend those strokes at any point, you can use the smudge tool, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So I just want to smudge some of the areas. Coming over to our smudge tool, select the smudgy round paint and bring the size down a bit. And just here and there, I'm going to apply light pressure to smudge some of the parts. I don't want them all out, as I still want to retain some of that brush stroke. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm now going to continue on with the next section. So our first layer is all done, and I'm going to now continue with the next one. I don't need that reference layer anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it and turn on my next layer. And we now have a cream color that we're working with, so I'm just going to select it with my finger, making sure that I am still on my paint layer and not my reference layer, and I'm going to continue with the semi-wet brush. I'm just going to bring the opacity down of that layer, just so I can see the artwork better. I'm not being too particular about my brush strokes at this stage because I actually want that streaky effect in my final piece. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. We're now going to move on to the next layer and repeat the process. For this layer, I'm going to be using the round smooth brush, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I want the color to be more opaque and not as many brush strokes. I'll see you on the other side. Another layer done. I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to keep moving on, so by now you know the drill, and I'll see you on the other side. For the leaf highlights layer, I'm going to use the dry, smudgy line work brush. For the delicate flowers, I'm going to use the smooth, round, wet brush because I'd like them to be quite translucent. In this area, I'll move back to the round, smooth brush. For the petals, I'll be using the flat, smooth, semi-wet. Here I hop back to the smooth round brush. I use the round semi-wet for the darker parts of the flowers. For the markings layer, I'm going to use the smooth line work brush. For the veins of the leaves, I'm going to use the gloopy line work brush. This is great for detail and uneven line work. For the detailed highlight layer, I used a combination of cream and a soft pink just to highlight the edges of the leaves and the flowers. So we're nearly done with our painting. We're now going to focus on the background layer. I'm going to delete that highlighted layer first. The first thing I want to do is create a new layer above the background layer that we had originally. And then I'm going to come over to the background color, selecting that original background. I'm going to make a slightly darker version of the original background color. And then I'm going to fill that layer by dragging and dropping, and you'll see it's just slightly darker. On that new layer, I'm going to choose the original background color. And now I'm going to start painting using any one of my textured brushes. I'm going to start with a messy wet brush to begin with, and I'm just making random brush strokes, kind of following the contour of the image. We're just going for natural brush strokes, and we're just going to follow the image as we work our way around. And I'm just going to use a combination of the textured brushes to create lovely textured strokes as I work my way around the painting. I'm going to add color underneath the bird and all the botanicals as well. I'm also going to adjust the color just slightly here and there to create some color variation and interest to the background. To clean up any rough areas I don't want, I'm just going to use the smudge tool here and there just to smooth the areas out. This is a really fun process, and it's not about precision, it's more about freedom and creating lovely strokes as if you were painting on canvas. And that's it, we're done. Congrats for getting this far. We're now going to export as a JPEG. We're going to come over to our actions icon and then choose share and then choose JPEG and then save it to your photos. Coming out of our canvas into our gallery, I'm going to airdrop the textured canvas to my Procreate gallery. It should open up automatically. Opening my layers panel, making sure I'm on the draw here layer. Coming over to my actions icon, click add, select our painting we've just completed, and that should import and place it perfectly because the canvas is the same size. And from here you can decide if you want to adjust any of the effects layers. The canvases include a paper texture, imperfections, and some brush strokes. All of those things you can adjust to suit your project. To do that, we're just going to swipe left to unlock, and then you can expand each layer and play around with the opacity and the intensity of those effects. Once you're done, be sure to lock those layers again just to avoid painting on them accidentally. And that's it, you've now completed a lovely botanical bird art print. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I can't wait to see what you create with this collection. Happy painting!